Hey everyone, may the good Lord bless you. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you for coming to my forge one more time. In this video, you all, I'm going to show you something that you rarely ever see taught. It's how to braze in your forge, okay? In other words, we're going to take this particular object here that I'm making, and we're going to braze these things together, okay? Now the reason we're going to do that, you guys, is because it's not practical to try to forge weld something like this, just stuck down in them holes. For one thing, you may not want to distort what you're working on. And this was used a lot, guys, for different types of musical instruments that they made back in the old days. Gun parts, where it wasn't practical to bring this up to the forge weld and heat and hit it, because then this would be distorted to where you couldn't fix it, okay? So we're going to take this block of iron right here and these two rods, we're going to braze them at the forge, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And it's really, really pretty. Now you guys over on your anvil, let me turn that air up just a little bit. Flatten your rod out, okay? Flatten that brass rod out. Take it and stick it over there on what you're going to weld up. And then we'll do it to the other end as well. Let me bring it out of the fire. That should be, you guys, brazed. And it is. That's a very small object, guys. Now there's many different ways of doing that. Let me get away from this fire so you can see it. Now you have to let it cool down naturally, you guys. Don't quench this, okay? You can see the brass right there on that thing. I don't know if you all could see that happening in the forge or not. All right, we'll let that cool down, you guys, and I'll clean it up and I'll show it to you. You can see a little bit of where the brass ran in on that right there, you guys. See that right there? Where it ran over on the top. I hope that's in focus. But I just wanted to show you guys that. That's one way of solving a problem like that right there, okay? Believe it or not, back in the old days, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of things were held in place by brass. They weren't forged weld because it wasn't practical to forge weld it and keep the object the same shape that you want it to be. If I take that over and forge weld it, I've got to hit it with a hammer. And when I do that, I'm going to distort this or I'm going to distort this and make that weaker, okay? So there we go, you guys. That right there ain't coming apart. How to braze in your forge. Now, guys, what they would do on bigger objects is they would actually have powdered brass, and they would pour that powdered brass onto those two objects when they got up to the heat, and that would actually melt and run in the joint. You don't have to actually do it in the forge if you have powdered brass, and you can buy powdered brass. But what you want to make sure you do, you guys, is do it with plenty of ventilation, just like anything else, because you don't want to be breathing any smoke off of powdered brass. Okay, that's another way of doing it. But I don't have any powdered brass, but I just showed you how to do it right there in the forge. Okay guys, I hope you learned something from this video. This can be used in all kind of different applications, making you know, fancy little things like roses and all kind of stuff that people who are really artistic, that's one of the way of joining those things together. Now, I realize that there's some things that you absolutely can't get in a forge, but that's for small objects that you just don't want to tear up and distort. That is just one way of doing it right there. Otherwise, you would have to heat shrink it on there, and that really don't stick really, really good. It's just heat shrunk. And for some reason or another, over the years, it'll oxidize, and when it does, that will come loose. So if you braze it on there, it won't, okay? All right, you all, thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your weekend. Make sure you go vote on Election Day. Have a great day.